Beloved, mighty companions. Oh my gosh, the holy light of God and the stunning beauty of this looking at time, so the belief in time so closely through the time change. and then with through Jesus arranging time and space, we can just look at today's happy lesson right, right here in front of us to see there's no time whatsoever. We can just start off by totally laughing with Jesus about time being a concept. Now, if that wasn't the lesson of all lessons, to not be involved into time and see where the mind's involved in time, only an instant does this world endure. Now the bell at the church is ringing. Let me see. Yeah. So we can look so deeply with Jesus of any, Rita was talking about the time involved and making sure we tell people what time. What did you say about it? You thought what was going to happen? She's laughing too. It's really good. She's laughing so hard. They were going to think she was an idiot. Do you love it? Like, if we get the time wrong, we're idiots. Listen to all that play. She's laughing so hard and enjoying it so much. To see through that error of thought, like that there's someone out there, like something happens if we're not on time. Doesn't that play in consciousness? If we're not on time, if we don't do something on time to tick, 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 the tick tock of death, the death clock. She's laughing. So, this was a good, that was good.
Yeah, good training.
That was happy light training for Jesus to show us how that tension, the time tick tock tension. Well, the desire for that's a good one. Oh, beloved Jesus. Thank you for gathering us today so we can look at the desire for the experience of tick-tock tension. Is there a desire to have tension in any way, shape, or form over the belief in time? Yes. Okay, I'm willing to see that directly. And put any desire for experience of death in time, because that's little mini deaths, little mini time deaths. That we're beholden to time. Thank you, Jesus, for reminding. Jesus, is there any desire for holiness to be beheld by time? To use time to deny holiness? Let's just look. I'm looking at any kind of slightest twitch that holiness is beholden to a concept of time. Love you so much, Jesus, for loving us in such a deep way, just to stand there and be there with us. To see that time has no dominion whatsoever in the light of divine being and honesty of God. Does time have dominion over light? We can just check in the light to make sure, because you see, if you have a watch, like how you're just like time under time control versus Christ control. Jesus, do I have a desire for an experience of time control over Christ control? And hear that? Yes. Okay. Okay. Can we have a miracle? Can we celebrate infinite no time together in this miracle of infinite love unchanging? that even the tiniest tension, that the light doesn't look for time tension. That beacons of light, let's look for that time tick-tock in there. Timelessness. Marinate as timelessness, as Moody would say, marinate. And then Jesus says, and ask me the denials. So the contrast, here's the contrast: timelessness, twitch, miracle. We're trying to like push apart that the light can be divided and see the impossibility in the light of truth, light that lights everyone who's born. That this just relax, that it need not be. That's the big relax, seeing there's no death. As I mentioned, that Sanskrit word, if anyone finds that word, share it. That the word for time and death are the same. Only an instant does this world endure. Let's ask the light that, so we can be sure and see any tension that comes up when we see that thought. Wait, I want to hold on to the world. Oh, no, don't take it away. Let's just see. Just say that thought. Only an instant does this world. I actually feel a little contraction on that, so I'm gonna put that up. Only, and just feel just the desire for this not to be true. Desire for an experience. Well, that's just a beautiful reflection, isn't it? What a great reminder from Jesus, as always, because when we notice light, does the world exist? See, we think the world is permanent and the light's an instant. Jesus is straightening us out on that. See, and Ramana Maharshi talks about how it seems like through the play in consciousness that the ego's permanent and the light is temporary. That's the play. The play is to make the ego, but the ego is discontinuous. Ask the light, is the ego discontinuous? It's its thoughts arising. Even Ramana is pointing to that. It comes out and then we staple ourselves to it to insist that it's permanent. Jesus, is there a desire to insist to God that the ego's permanent? Yes. Yes, so we're demanding of God the permanency of what cannot be, of a dream of separation. So it's so beautiful. He's pointing to the flip, that the holy instant's an instant and the world is real and lasts forever. Let's see if there's any. Jesus, is there any desire for an experience as though this world's going to last forever? Okay, I'm willing to look. Any desire around it, any energetic wish, the wanting for the world to feel like it's forever. That the world holds this power over holiness. That's why he said that was the whole enchilada. Time has power over holiness. Let's just ask. Time have any power over holiness in the light of divine being? So then it thus must be a desire in there. Let's look, Jesus, show me the desire for that. So consciousness is a play as though the world has lasted eons, right? Eons and millennia and Big Bang. The big nothing happened. The time and space is being blown out through desired experience right here, right now. And then it staples together the images. It's an image stapler. Consciousness is an image stapler, man. Yes, Jesus saying it. You know, it's true, because if you look, it staples images together. You can notice that directly. I mean, that was such a beautiful teaching by Jesus, where when I was in Bali and I passed a bookshelf and I heard pick up a novel, and of course there was a spiritual idea that there's all kinds of spiritual ideas, right? That, oh, well, I'm not reading those kinds of books anymore. So it was a Ken Follett book. Trying to remember, I don't know if I remember the title of it, but it's one of the newer ones by Ken Follett. And I love Ken Follett, right? I would read all his, Triple and all those books, those little adventures, because consciousness loves a story, loves an adventure. So this is how Jesus used this. So first of all, wrong again. Spirit doesn't give those kind of assignments. See, and what I notice, see, is our mind becomes trained in the light. And you'll notice this anyway. You don't need any light training to notice this. That when you pick up a book, so what happens? I started picking up, and actually it was a really good spirit guided. It was a movie. It was a story about a guy that lived like in the Netherlands or Denmark, or maybe one of you knows this one. And it was in World War II, and it was occupied by the German, and he wanted to fly across. He got this idea to fix a plane. I'm getting like really heavy. To fix a plane. So Jesus is showing me he was following the spirit, right? He was always following the spirit to how to get that. And he ends up in a place where, with a family who had an old plane hidden in a garage. It's so good. This is really good, just the story itself, and then how to get in. And he get into the Nazi camp to learn to see how they were protecting with lights and how all that worked, so he could figure out how to get around that. But what was really helpful about this, in addition to being wrong once again about spirit-led assignments, was to see that when a sentence was read, see, the book is not the picture. See how the words are not the pictures, but I would read a sentence, and I could just literally watch the pictures bloom in our minds when we read a book through the power of consciousness. You notice that when you're reading a book and you're in the story, the blooming of this storyline, you can see it in your mind's eye. And what a great lesson that was for showing how words bloom into pictures. Thoughts bloom into pictures, and how it uses all the ideas to create a story line. So it was like a multi-tiered lesson. And we're doing that all the time. Like, we'll be sitting down and we'll go into imagination. We'll be sitting here in a room, and you'll have an imagination again about, you'll hear one smell, and it's your grandmother making a pie. And then you go, God, I've got to get a pie. Or because it's that the way consciousness builds an association between the pie that your grandmother made and love. The idea, the concept of love, and those get linked. And then you smell the pie and you feel like something's missing. Where's my grandmother? Because there's a false association between that smell of pie, and it's subconscious, so you don't even know where it is. You don't even realize that you're trying to find salvation through a pie. so, like, and then you feel so desperate. I've got to have pie, and I don't know why. Because it deep in the subconscious mind, it got buried, that association between safety and a pie and comfort in grandmother's house. And and time then seems continuous. It seems real that we had a grandmother, even though it was a dream of grandmother. The last thing I wanted was my grandmother to be a dream. She was safety and a haven and love, unconditional love. But I can talk to her now and know she's here. All that love. So it seems like it's continuous. Let's just ask Jesus, the ego continuous? No, it's impossible. It's not even real. Is the ego real? No, it's a dream of separation. Is it desired experience? Here the yes. So we desire an experience in which the world seems continuous and the light's an instant and comes and goes. So the desire for the experience to make the world continuous, seem continuous, and give up that. Look at that desire. You can feel that one in your bones. You don't have bones, but the body is a reflection of that. Reflects out. It can be used in service by spirit to show us where the tension is. The intention to deny the holy instant, the permanency of the holy instant. It's to make the light seem impermanent. A place I don't mind visiting the light, but I certainly don't want to live there. That's the play in consciousness. I don't mind looking at light now and then. And then we go to the altar, honor the altar of impermanency with the moving. This is a thought that can be used to say that death and sorrow are the certain lot of all who came here, for their joys are gone before they are possessed or even grasped. To make joy impermanent. Let's ask the light, is there a desire to make this joy impermanent? That it seems impermanent and elusive? Let's ask the light that. That feels really good. Is there a desire below my level of awareness to make joy impermanent? Their joys are gone before they're possessed or even grasped. Does joy seem ungraspable to me? You can ask the light that. Am I making an experience to make joy feel ungraspable, even noticed, meaning can't hold on to joy? Yet the way the consciousness plays is that we have to hold on to joy. See, we have to have an experience and try to grab that sucker. And I'm going to hold on to it. See, I'm going to lose joy. Just feel that desire for the experience of losing joy. Is there any desire to have an experience of losing joy? And hear the yes of like, yes. I'm going to put that energy, that desire right in that light of truth, infinite light. Desire, wanting the joy to be impermanent. See that in the light of truth. Let the light toast that idea. Okay. See if that lasts, that elusive nature of joy. See how long that lasts in the light. Can we find in light a little idea? Does the light have an idea that joy is elusive? Is the light telling us, yep, and too bad, you're going to have a shortage of joy? Does the light say that? See how it's a desired experience. This is so fabulous. They're gone before they're possessed, joy gone or even grasped. To feel that joy is ungraspable. Whoa. It feels like that on the spiritual, definitely. And now I see that was a desired experience. That's a desired experience. To have joy seem so elusive, impossible. It's desired experience. Jesus rocking our world with that. To see this desire to extend out a world is the desire to deny supreme happiness. Is here, the kingdom of heaven now. Supreme happiness now. Wow. by seeming to have an ego as a continuous. The dreams seem continuous. Like you can just see these things. You just watch consciousness becoming a noticer. We're the last mimsy on the beach going, let's just see how this is playing, these thoughts blooming. How consciousness stitches dreams together. Dream stitcher, dream weaver. Dreaming dreams, wish lists. It pumps out wish lists. Here's our wish list. It's pumping it out. Ask the light. The wish to be experience death and play in death. Play in time and death being the same. Yet this is also the idea that lets no false perception keep us in its hold. So see how he takes that idea. Oh my gosh, that's just phenomenal. Jesus is so on point. Yet this is also the idea that lets no false perception keep us in its hold. Only an instant. When we're willing to accept that, Father, am I willing to fully accept the world is an instant? And if he says no, okay, show me where I'm, no. No. To keep us in, no, this is also the idea. So he's giving us this higher order thoughts, this idea. Marinate on this one. Only an instant does this world endure. Look at any resistance to it. Because this is the one, the idea that lets no false perception keep us in its hold, nor represent more than a passing cloud on a sky eternal serene. Eternally serene. I love that. Muji says they're passing clouds. We go out to the clouds, we try to staple them on to keep those and just see that all things are passing. That's happiness. Passing in a clear, infinite sky. Marinate as infinite. Let's kind of watch those. Eternally serene. That happiness dances and the Klingon wrinkles just fade away. Eternally serene. Jesus, is there any desire not to rest eternally serene? Below my level of awareness. And it is this serenity we seek, unclouded, obvious, and sure. In the light of divine being and honesty of God, is the light eternally serene? And hear the light. Is our true nature eternally serene in our direct experience as light beings? Is Jesus, in listening to his voice and following him, the path to seeing that we're already eternally serene and that it's sure, obvious? He's saying, is the light obvious? Let's ask the light. It's obvious. The holy instant is obvious, as Jesus said, unless you have a desire for it not to be. And sure, the light is sure. Is the light sure? Is the light everywhere? So I was reminded at the play in consciousness. I think Teresa wrote this somewhere, and I think I talked about it. I'll talk about it a little more. The play in consciousness, where we're giving the world more than it's a passing instant. And the sort of things that arise in consciousness are these concepts of being pressured, ripped, let people down, desire to hide. So let's just ask Jesus, are all these things the play of consciousness to make the world endure? Not only make it seem like it's long, to have an experience that the world must be endured, experienced. Is there any desire below our level of awareness to try to extend out the time of the world, to feel pressured and ripped, let people down, desire to hide? See how that's all the denial of the serenity. So we're looking, we're onto it, we're catching these things like Teresa's catching this and seeing this is where my desire is, and I'm admitting I have these desires to create a timeline. And then we just go, okay, Jesus, show me how this blows out time, the experience, the pictures and the memories and the references that all are an attempt to prove that the world endures, that I must endure the world, the desire for the experience of enduring the world as a body, that I'm subject, that holiness is subject to the sands of time. Can we find that? And are we subject as infinite light? So he's using this word. When you feel ripped, you can just say, only an instant does this world endure. That's how powerful that thought is. We can ask him, I'm feeling ripped. That only an instant does this world endure. He's given those higher order thoughts to melt the idea that we can be ripped by the world. To release the desire for the experience of wanting to feel ripped by creating a world and feeling ripped in it. Only an instant does this world endure. That's how powerful these thoughts of God are that he's giving us. Whatever the ego can come up with to say, just staple that on the end of it. He says, yes, staple that thought. And see how it's the instant balm. The instant balm to a world that we believe is true. Only an instant does this world endure. And then also to address, Thecla, I hope I'm saying your name correctly. She was talking about chapter 10, guidance. What is my desire to have an experience of not hearing and following? Well, this is really why the joining is given. Because in that joining and calling to the power of God together, it will become clear and clear that we're hearing a voice. That's why he's videotaping these sessions and we're sharing with each other, but also it's for ourselves, for us to go back and see how abjectly, powerfully, and simply we can hear Jesus, and then how quickly that gets obscured by consciousness, the play in consciousness, to deny that we can hear our own voice. So you can hear the clarity, because even when he's talking to you, there's a part that cannot want to hear it, because you can see how he told her all these things. I'd regularly, and I'm hoping I'm understanding what you're trying to ask here. I've regularly asked Jesus to reveal my desires not to hear his voice. What came to me, the desire not to hear his voice, the desire to keep so-called control, desire to be a person, therefore separate, excluded, the desire not to be loved, desire to be a victim, not so obvious enough to hear, not so valuable to hear his voice, desire to experience the emotions that go with it, anger, sadness. In short, all the desires that make me believe this world is a perishable world, is real, is a reality in the universe. To the desires that have been revealed, which want to maintain separation, I have applied forgiveness except the atonement, but despite that, I still don't hear his voice. Can you see the play here? The play in consciousness? Let's just ask the question here. Is the ego going to come show all these desires? Now it can play like that. I want to point that out. It'll start dumping, but you'll feel guilt. The ego start dumping. Well, you have this and this, yeah, Jesus saying, it's going to play. That's called kitchen sink in it. It'll pour all those things out sometimes. That's why we need Jesus to go, is this you talking, Jesus? The desire not to be loved. Is this something I'm to look at right now? And he'll say yes or no. See, that's how specific we need to get past the kitchen sinking of all the things we're doing wrong. So it's just practice, and then it's coming together in these light circles with each other and practicing, okay, what is Jesus telling me to look at this one thing now? And you'll start to hear him. Do not move on to the next thing. That'll prevent, that's to help, so he can help us with that kitchen sinking of all the things we've done wrong. And then we fall into the belief that something's actually happening. He's keeping us awake and with him. Okay, stay with this desire right here. I'm going to show it to you, and just like be with that one right there. And it just means that you just have to go all the way down with them until that energetic is released. Because he knows where we want to deny the miracle. So that's why, again, the continual joining, the continual here, you can hear those starting to happen in the sessions, and beings that are, as everyone's hearing them, because you can't come to a light circle. This is dissolution of personal identity here. There's no person. This is light in recognition of light, celebrating light exactly as it is, whole, holy, and complete, and denying that there's anyone here who can actually deny light. The light's here. So just keep coming. I guess that's what I would say about this. Follow your guidance. But he's saying yes. Okay, that's from him. Keep coming to the light circles. Keep watching the videos. And he's given you these things. The ego can't hide in this, especially in those joining sessions, the fact that we can hear them. It's just simply the desire not to hear them. And it's just a play in consciousness. Jesus says, have no concern about that. If I've called you to me for this purpose, I've called you to me, and you can hear me because you're here. And that the fulfillment of my promises is that you're going to speak to me as clearly as Helen. That's direct. As clearly as. Just keep practicing. It was like I saw that in just the typing of the book, was to hear him. I thought it was about the periods. No, it was to, and that was part of it, to be that attentive to what he's saying. Is it a dash here, and release any ideas that the eye has about, what a book looks like, or all of that. And just to be so attentive to work through every single desire with him. So, I mean, you can start with yes and yes. He's saying you can start with yeses and nos. You just pull out chapter 20, or you just stay in the light circles where, when a question arises, okay, do I have that desire? And just hear him. And all the beings, most of the beings are reporting that they can start to hear. And that's what we're here for too. When you call us to join, we pray to Jesus on everything, but we know that we're being called. You are Jesus calling us. It's not like there's somebody here who's got something that somebody else doesn't have, because that would deny infinite light. We just pray and say, okay, Jesus, is this in service? And if the spaciousness is there, we join, because we know it's for us. It's not, there's no one, so we can hear Jesus through our brother and learn to speak Jesus through our mouths. Hear, listen, speak, listen, speak. So that will, the ability to become so clear with Jesus, like I say, and ask him any question. He's saying, yes, you will be able to ask him any question about the course, any question about a single sentence on a piece of paper, if you desire it, because that's your voice. So we're just talking, learn to talk to ourselves rather than talk to every voice in there. We talk to ourselves anyway. It's just like he's saying, and we all recognize, which voice are we going to believe? And he's going to take us beyond every belief that we've ever had. And just, you seek your holy world today. We seek your holy world today, together, coming together to hear your voice, the voice for God. This is having more faith in the idea we have of ourselves to join. That's what that is. It's an expression of faith and conviction, he says. Conviction that we're of greater, far greater value than the idea that we hold of ourselves. We seek your holy world today, for we, your loving sons, have lost our way a while. Jesus, let's just ask him, is there a desire below my level of awareness to lose my way for a while? Okay, wanted to look at that. And do you still love me, even though I'm playing this losing my way game? And Jesus, will you help me find my way and that I can never be lost? That I'm always holding your hand, that you're me, that you're the voice within myself. And see what he says. Your loving son, for we, your loving sons, have lost our way a while, but we have listened to your voice and learned exactly what to do to be restored to heaven and our true identity. And we give thanks today. The world endures but for a moment, an instant. In the light of divine being and honesty of God, can we celebrate the world endures but for an instant? That's honesty of God, is celebrating the world endures but an instant. We would go beyond that tiny instant to eternity. Supreme happiness, the best hashtag of all. We go together, you and I. Let's ask the light. Can we go together? Can we do this without our brother and hear the light? Is our brother the way, the truth, and the life? And hear Jesus's answer. He says it's the only way. Because without that seeing of a brother and admitting it, we can't see that we're light. We can't, not sustainably, we'll see it for an instant. But it will disappear the moment we deny a brother. The moment. That's making the world real. The moment we deny a brother, we just made the world real. And we made ourselves feel unreal. We would go beyond that tiny instant together to see we are one in eternity. So inspiring to be with all of you, so touching in the heart, and to see how Jesus's promises and being in control of time and space every day for us, every moment being in control of that atonement and fulfilling every promise in the Course of Miracles. And we have each other for that. Such a blessing. So thank you for joining us this morning. Happy hologram to all of you. We're joined in truth with you forever. Amen.